would give you guys a quick little story about a contract I had. I was working at Blue Cross Blue Shield not too long ago. Well, not actually quite long ago. This was it 20, it wasn't 2012. It was like 2013 or I believe it was 2013. And this story is about Puerto Rico. I hope everybody is getting their notifications when you click the bell button so you can subscribe and make sure you're getting all your notifications. So, I took my wife on a trip to Puerto Rico in 2013. I think I was in maybe my late 20s. I think I was. We go down to Puerto Rico. Before I booked the trip to Puerto Rico, we were down there for about a week. I was working a Windows 7 migration contract. This was probably my second one, as my first one was with a manufacturing site. And I talked about this in my first book. Um, I was doing well over there. I was doing really, really good. I was one of the people that always stayed on the floor imaging the computers with SECM and Pixie Boot. And they were talking about laying off a whole bunch of people. You had a guy there that was like a system engineer. He was snapping, throwing keyboards, all kind of stuff. He liked me for some reason though. I just kept a low profile. Dudes was just always doing stuff there. They was just we were kind of like in a little basement area, Blue Cross out there in Egan, and this people were just always doing little goofy stuff. You had dudes up in there that was stealing laptops and computers. You had people that might have been just sitting around. Really, what was happening internally is they did not have a good SECM packaging engineer. That's my little analytics recap popping up. I'll look at that later. They didn't have a packaging engineer. When I mean a packaging engineer, is basically somebody that makes sure the operating system is a good solid foundation, a good solid distribution with all the updates and all the scripting and everything. So when they push out this entire operating system across the company, you know, what they call a gold image is running well. And they were really frustrated by that. It didn't really have anything to do with us, but they were frustrated. So the people above them, the IT directors and the business units, was getting on their behind about it. Well, it was getting to the point where we weren't deploying that many machines per day. You come into work, you might deploy maybe one machine, or you don't really do too much. So they had several different crews. They had the imaging crew, they had a deployment crew, and then they had what they called the day one crew. I was on the installation deployment crew. I would do some imaging too, so they trained us on all the process. But then there was like a day one crew. So what they would do is they would come in early in the morning, and they wear like these construction vests that were, I believe, either yellow or red, and it would say Windows 7 Day One. And then they would just kind of walk around, and whenever people had questions about how to map their drives and make sure their software is good and all that. So all I would really do most of the time, I did that a little bit, but really I was more so into deploying stuff. So what I would do is I get a computer. I might be assigned a certain computer. I start imaging the computers, or the computers would usually be imaged already. Then what I would do is I just transfer the data over, make sure that the PSD files and everything was good, and I transfer that over. And then what I would do, I call the user and say, "Hey, are you available?" And I come and I deploy them. What I did is I started getting like a little cart. I went and got a cart, and what I would do is I would just call the user and schedule them, or I would just go straight up to their desk and be like, "Hey, we need to switch this out. Are you available?" And a lot of times they would be like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool." So I might knock out 4 or 5 a day. You had some dudes that couldn't even get one or two. Sometimes I get 6 or 7. So I remember one time I was going in the line, and just as one of the system engineers, he jacked out on like everybody. But a lot of times I wasn't there. He'd be snapping on people, and I wasn't there. I'd be working, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, where's there? Where's there? Where?" You know. And the team lead, he was a cool dude. He was a older white man. He worked for some company called R.W. Baird, I think in Famous Heights. He was like, DP's our star player. He's my star players. I wouldn't. You couldn't catch me down there just sitting. Most of the time they be sitting around. Everybody just sitting around looking at Facebook. Not me. I was out there, being productive. So, you know, I was getting ready to pay for my lunch, and I had because I would always go to the cafeteria because Egan is like a Egan is a suburb where you know Blue Cross Blue Shield, them parking lots are real big. So it's like a military compound almost. You're not gonna get in your car and then drive to go get something to eat, and then you know you're not gonna drive. This definitely after 2011, 2013. You're not gonna drive to get something to eat and then come back. It's not enough time. So what I would do is I'd always go to the cafeteria and I'd get a salad a lot of times and pretty decent food to be quite honest, and a relatively decent price. Um, for a contractor, I was getting ready to pay for my food and I was pulling my credit card out to swipe, and I felt someone grab my card, and it was kind of like a reflex for me, 'cause I'm not used to nobody grabbing messing with my wallet, my phone. I don't play that. It was it was the system engineer that kissed everybody's behind. He grabbed my card and pulled his card out and swiped and walked away. You know, so he liked me a lot. He liked me a lot, but all them other guys like he ain't japped out on me. He japped out on them other people. Point being, I told the team lead, well, things dying down, man. I'm trying to book a trip. So soon as I get down to Puerto Rico, when my trip was booked, because I told them, advance, there wasn't really too much going on. I'm sitting on the beach, lit. I'm sitting on the beach, kicking my feet up, watching crabs crawl across the beach, and I get a voicemail saying, "Oh, they laid. This is my team lead. They laid off everybody. They laid off like 20 some people, or whatever." Now, mind you, I had already been interviewing for a Windows 7 contract with Travelers Insurance. Now, a little bit of backstory on this contract that I had. The contract, it was supposed to be through another agency called Intuitive Technologies, and I think they might have been paying like, I think they were supposed to pay us like 19 or 20 or something like that. They got outbidded by Apex Staffing. Now they're based in Edina. They were they were outbidded by Apex Staffing, and what ended up happening was then they ended up giving us like 17 or 18 or something like that. So we like, hey, I'm like, wait a minute. Um, they gave us a start date or a start time. They were kind of playing around with the start times initially when I was going through the Intuitive Technologies agency, and so I was waiting for them to let me know. You know what I'm saying? When his contract's gonna start. Man, I get a random call from Apex saying, "Hey, you're starting with Blue Cross." I'm like, "Who are y'all?" I said, "Oh, uh, we took over the contract that was supposed to be, do Intuitive, and you're supposed to start." I said, "Okay, so I'm getting 19 an hour." "Oh no, you're getting less than that." So I said, "Wait a minute, wait a minute. That wasn't the agreement we had." So they played something real funny style, So um, I'm gonna be honest. In lieu of that, and I was doing well. In lieu of that, they'd have like these little areas. So if anybody don't know, you work at Blue Cross. They got these little offices where you could kind of go down in like the basement. It's not like the basement area, but they got like a lot of offices and stuff like that all over the place. So I would just take off. I'd be taking phone calls. I might go deploy a computer, and you damn right, I would go to one of the little phone booths, and I'd be, I'd have enough reception. I'd hit up recruiters for other stuff. I was setting myself up because I could see the direction of where this contract was going, and they was playing with the money. So I had an interview with Travelers Insurance. That was paying 25. So that was the highest rate that I had got. I had a rate that, and that was a lovely, lovely contract. But that's when I started to learn really a lot more about SCCM and dealing with the console and with the configuration manager and doing that. But that was a lovely contract. So um, they gave me a start date. So before I secured myself, before I went out of town, I had my background check running. You see what I'm saying? So when I got that phone call and I was sipping on rum and eating pretzels on the beach, when I listened to the voicemail, I saw the um, the voicemail from the team lead telling me, oh, they done laid off about 15, 20 people, whatever. I seen the ship going down. I'm a visionary when it comes to doing that sometimes. I'll see when something's going left. And I'll be like, okay, it's time to hop on another lily pad. That's exactly what I did. So it wasn't, a lot of times, like sometimes when people they go out of town and they get, or it be Christmas or whatever, they'll blow all their money. And no, it wasn't no situation like that. Before I left, I had money, and when I came back, I had money. I was straight. You see what I'm saying? And I had a new gig coming up. So I worked Travelers at second shift, and they just kind of rolled the Windows 7 migration wave for the next couple of years. I was just working in different places, doing all that deployment. That's where it got a lot of my experience. So yeah, that's my story about Puerto Rico, man. Um, Going down there, got to see some of the slave castles in San Juan. Um, the food was okay. I think it would have been a lot better with the locals, but I was kind of in dealing with some of the tourist sites. But it, the weather was great. Um, the travel, even on the airplane, the travel was wonderful. And I wanted to go back, but I think there was an earthquake or like a storm. I think that happened in 2018 and 2016 or 2017 or 2018 or something. There was a storm, and they had to kind of rebuild themselves back up. But I probably should have went back again. Um, but yeah, that's my story on getting a new contract. When going to Puerto Rico, I wanted to tell you guys that story. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I got some projects underway. I don't want to talk about them too much. I like to just drop things. So uh, I'll be doing another video or another podcast where I'll probably be reviewing. Um, I think is it called Black Swan? I think it's a movie called Black Swan, or I can't remember what the movie was, but it's an Apple TV movie where it starts talking about transhumanism. So I'm gonna be kind of breaking down a little bit of that. Zone 414, I couldn't get the audio for that. So y'all make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe if you like the material. We're gonna keep this thing going.